we'll see. Your Lordship will see that the election, the brief facts that I'll be discussing only to start with are as follows. ECP, in fact, I'll start by saying that PTI held its elections on 8th of June 2022. Your Lordship may call them the first election. And ECP vide its order dated 23rd of October 23 directed that elections be held within 90 days. They said these elections are void and you should hold new elections in 20 days. Why they said that may not be relevant to this case, but I'll briefly inform the court. They said this because, according to them, the council that had made the amendment under which the elections were held, the council was not valid. It was not functional, according to them.
What do you mean by council?
The executive council of the PTI.
PTI.
So we had 20 days, and at the same time, Your Lordship remembers, round about that time, Your Lordship had decided that the elections will be held on 8th of February.
When was that?
Through a judgment that Your Lordship.
What was the date?
I'll just find out the date. I'll just find out the date. And so there was time constraint. We had 20 days, and we were very scared, I may add, that if we don't hold the elections, then Election Commission of Pakistan may take action against the party and keep it out of the politics and the elections. So we decided that while we will be challenging the vires of that order, we should also comply. And so, Your Lordship, we held the elections, the second intra-party elections on 2nd of October 2023.
2nd of October or December?
2nd of December, sorry. 2nd of December. These elections, Your Lordship, were called in question. We filed the forms 65, which is the requirement. We filed all the documents. But then 14 persons who alleged that they were members filed applications before the Election Commission. And in those applications, they said that these elections should be declared void and there should be re-election. This was their prayer. There should be re-election.
Complaints are on record?
They are on record. Your Lordship, the ECP also raised simultaneously some technical points. These technical points related to dates, signatures, forms. That the signature is not right, please put a signature here. The date is not right, please put a date there. A notice was served on us that please come in. There's a hearing on the basis of these 14 applications. A hearing took place, and our basic stance was that these are not members.
Did you respond in writing or verbally?
Verbally.
When was the hearing?
It is mentioned in that order, it was 18th.
18th of?
December. So, Your Lordship, on the date that the hearing was finished, the Election Commission handed over 32 questions to us, that these are our questions.
Where are those?
Those are also on record.
Page?
A page, I think it's page. I'll just come to those pages in a minute, but I'm just giving a brief. Now, Your Lordship, the 32 questions were also answered in writing by us. And then the Election Commission of Pakistan passed this order dated 22nd 12/2023, in which two things happened. Number one, the election, intra-party election, was declared void. It was set aside by ECP. And then on this basis, the ECP went on to do a second thing, which is that it ordered that the symbol will not be given to PTI. Now, Your Lordship, this order in 22nd 12/2023 has been read before this Honorable Court. But I'd like to summarize what I think is the reading of that. Number one, the impugned order has decided that the intra-party election was held. This is important. Was held on 2nd of October 2023.
December,
sorry, I keep saying October. December 2023. So it was held, they say. They're not denying that it was not held. Number two, they have not pointed out anything in the manner and conduct of the election itself. No irregularity or defect per se in the manner and conduct of that election has been pointed out. Number three, they have accepted that Form 65 and all the documents as required by Section 209 have been duly provided. These three things are important for my arguments. IP was held, they have not pointed out anything, so I don't need to go into many aspects of the election itself. And no documentary dispute. But what they have done, Your Lordship, is given a very circular reasoning, which I call a circular reasoning fallacy. A circular reasoning fallacy, which is actually an absurd reasoning. They have said that your intra-party election is okay, but the General Secretary who appointed the Chief Federal Commission, that is the person who conducted the election, was not properly appointed. And because the Federal Commission was not properly appointed, therefore the intra-party election is irregular. And because it is irregular, we do not accept this election. And because we do not accept the election, we will not give you the symbol. Huge jump, Your Lordship. Huge jump. Taking away the symbol because of an irregularity in the appointment of a General Secretary who appointed a a federal commission.
If I may interrupt you. Yesterday, Mr. Makhdoom Ali Khan was arguing on the technical aspect, Secretary General and all that. And I may repeat for your benefit, that the more fundamental question is whether there is democracy in the party, which can only be reflected by an election, valid elections being held within the party. And if that is so, then everything follows. Then you get the symbol, whatever other requirements are. And if that is not, then you run into trouble. So that is at least, if I'm speaking, I speak for myself, my focus will be, if you're talking about democracy, then there must be democracy within political parties as well. So the whole conduct of the elections, not the fine aspects of the elections here as irregularity or there irregularity, but the fundamental point of an elections may not have complied with all the rules and regulations of the PTI's constitution, which is not really the concern of the courts, nor should be of the Election Commission of Pakistan. But the fundamental question cannot be ignored, that members had been granted a fair opportunity to file nomination papers, to contest the election, and there was a semblance of regularity. That much, overcome that much.
I've got that point. And
by simply saying 14 persons came as complainants and said, we are not being allowed to participate in the elections, to simply discard them by saying they are not members of PTI will not be sufficient, when at least for one of them, Mr. Akbar S. Ahmed, it has been admitted that he was a founding member of the party. Merely because you don't like what a person says does not mean that his membership ceases. Unless you can show he resigned a political party, joined another political party, or went through some disciplinary procedure and was thrown out from the political party. So I don't know about the other candidates, we've not heard much about them, but don't just simply say they were not members of PTI. How would I know you are a member of PTI? You saying so, and they saying so, there must be some parameters within which one can objectively determine this fact.
absolutely.
So if it is not added to this, and please hear this is also very important, you used the word mala fide in fact and in law. Various allegations, we don't try to be influenced by anything that is said on the media or social media, but your stance is that there is mala fide of fact and law before the court of law, the Supreme Court. Now you must show such mala fide, because a point which was raised yesterday by Mr. Makhdoom Ali Khan was the fact that, okay, now I'm not in government, now they are hounding me. He said, no, we had raised this point when you were in government. PTI was in government. ECP was a constitutional body and had called upon you to conduct your elections. This has gone back very far back in time when the PTI was in government. So surely, unless you are saying that ECP was so independent a body that even it was proceeding against those in government then, either you maintain that stance that will undermine your stance that ECP has suddenly, the same persons in the ECP have suddenly turned subservient to whoever you want to allege. So if it was suddenly been brought up, they've been pursuing this matter for quite a while. And before that, either you take the plea that the law of election, and mind you, Election Act has not been challenged, any provision thereof.
I will not.
So whether we will not comment on its constitutionality because it has not been challenged. It may be challenged tomorrow, and we don't want to, in these related proceedings.
I'm not challenging them, ji.
So certain provisions were pointed out, then a person will just produce a piece of paper, I've held elections. And would that constitute elections? I'm not going into the nitty-gritty of the elections, mind you. I want to know the general, sort of, every election everybody complains. I mean, it's rare in Pakistan that nobody complains, but you see the general
broader picture.
So you understood what I
mean? I have bilkul understood. And I'm going to address that. I worked on it last night, and I will address both those questions. So, but for the present moment,
Let me start with the facts first, then we come, if we can just start with the 14 members.
Destroy my scheme of arguments.
Okay, fine, okay, fair enough.
Page 90 के ऊपर
آپ جیسے چلیں پھر آپ چلیں.
فیڈرل الیکشن کمیشن کا آپ کا شیڈیول ہے پیج 90 پیپر بک نمبر 1 میں.
جی.
تو یہ آپ ذرا دیکھیں نا, اس کے اندر جو نامینیشن اور الیکشن کرانے کا طریقہ کار پیج 90.
جی, ہم نے جو پیج
یہ آپ کے نیاز اللہ خان نیازی صاحب نے 29/11/2023 کو ایشو کیا.
جی.
اگر آپ اس میں دیکھیں, نوٹس انوائٹنگ نامینیشن پیپرز فرام پی ٹی آئی ممبر.
جی سر,
یہ وہی ہے 29/11
ہو گیا جی 29 کو.
پھر نامینیشن فارمز ٹو بی ریسیوڈ بائی ریٹرننگ آفیسر ایٹ اسلام آباد جسٹ آفٹر 2 days 1/12/2023.
کریکٹ سر.
اپیل اگینسٹ آبجیکشن اور ریجیکشن آف نامینیشن فارم, وہ بھی پہلی تاریخ ہی, سیم ڈے ہی نامینیشن فارم ریسیو کیے جائیں گے, سیم ڈیٹ ہی وہ اپیلیں فائل ہو جائیں گی. پھر ڈسپلے آف نیم آف کنٹیسٹنگ پینل, وہ بھی 1/12 ہی ہے. پھر پولنگ ڈے ایٹ پشاور خیبر پختونخوا, اس میں there is no venue mention for the elections, that is یہ بھی 2/12/2023 کو ہی ہوگی. پھر ڈکلیریشن آف الیکشن ریزلٹ بائی CEC, وہ بھی 2/12 کو ہی ہوگی. اور نوٹیفیکیشن آف الیکشن ریزلٹ جو ہے وہ 3/12 کو ہوگی. جسٹ ٹرائنگ ٹو انڈرسٹینڈ یسٹرڈے آلسو کہ جو آپ کا پروسیجر ہے اس کے اندر وہ نامینیشن فارم کہاں سے لینے تھے, ویئر واز دی وینیو مینشن ان دس, how to collect the form, nomination form, where the nomination form is to be submitted, because I also asked the question that how many members you have. I think it is more than 8,50,000.
جی.
تو اس کے اندر جو بات چیف صاحب بھی آپ سے کہہ رہے ہیں کہ وہ کوئی ٹرانسپیرنسی الیکشنز کے اندر تھی, کون لڑ سکتا تھا کون نہیں لڑ سکتا تھا, بائی سمپلی سیئنگ. اب آپ کی 15 کمپلینٹ وہاں گئی ہیں ECP میں. جی. ECP میں سو موٹو نہیں ہے یہ ایکشن. Somebody has filed complaints and the action was taken on the complaint not by ECP سو موٹو. آپ کے اپنے سرٹیفکیٹ 65 پہ نہیں ہوا ہے, یہ 15 کمپلینٹ فائل ہو گئی وہاں پہ. تو اب انہوں نے دیکھا ان سب چیزوں کو, تو اس پہ ہم یہ پوچھنا آپ سے چاہ رہے تھے نا کہ یہ کس طرح کا پروسیجر تھا.
بالکل, مجھے I understood the point. آپ کا جو پوائنٹ ہے,
کیونکہ جب آپ لیول پلینگ فیلڈ کی بات کرتے ہیں تو آپ کی پارٹی میں بھی تو لیول پلینگ فیلڈ
ہونی چاہیے نا,
جب وہ ممبرس کو بھی تو لیول پلینگ فیلڈ ملے کہ جو کرنا چاہتا ہے الیکشن. جیسے چیف صاحب نے ڈیموکریسی کی بات کی, تو میں یہ بات بھی آپ اس میں ایڈ کر رہا ہوں کہ ان کو بھی تو موقع ملنا چاہیے نا.
میں
جیتے ہارے وہ ان کی نصیب میں الیکٹ ہوتے نہیں ہوتے. اور پھر سارا دار و مدار آپ کے اپنے PTI کے کانسٹیٹیوشن پہ ہے, اس میں آپ نے اتنا ٹرانسپیرنٹ پروسیجر بنایا ہوا ہے کہ وہ دیٹس ویری گڈ کہ آپ اس میں ساری چیزیں, بٹ اف یو فالو دیٹ وڈ بی اے بیسٹ ٹرانسپیرنٹ الیکشن آف اینی پولیٹیکل پارٹی. اب وہ بیچ میں لیکنگ نظر آ رہی ہے, اس لیے یہ سارے سوالات اٹھ رہے ہیں.
بالکل ٹھیک ہے سر. میں I've got that.
You may ignore the with respect to Mr. Makhdoom Ali Khan, he may get upset, but you may ignore the minor points. I mean, we are more focused on this, so I'm just telling your mind, and we want to save time also.
I appreciate,
because you know every election we will find some more this particular form not submitted, that thing not done. Okay. We will be charitable there.
ٹھیک جی ٹھیک. So your lordship, my coming back to my point, so ایک آرڈر ہے جو الیکشن کمیشن آف پاکستان نے کیا جس میں انہوں نے کہا کہ ہولڈ ہوا تھا. They have not pointed out anything in the manner, but I will still satisfy the court جو آپ نے پوچھا, لیکن they have not pointed this out. They have simply said the appointment of the general secretary and the appointment of the federal commission. So they have not questioned کہ آپ نے ایک دن میں کیوں کیا یا 2 دن میں کیوں کیا یا uncontested کیوں تھا وغیرہ وغیرہ. So that is important to note کہ as far as the election commission is concerned, they have no cavil with this. Your lordship has raised a question which I'll be answering with documents shortly, but for the time being the order does not say it. Now your lordship, they have done two things: taken away the, not just declared this election void, but also jumped and taken away the symbol. So एक चीज है कि आपका इलेक्शन
वो तो हमने नोट कर लिया जी. आप प्लीज प्रोसीड.
Now what is a symbol, sir?
I know, we know what a symbol is जी. No,
but a symbol, your lordship, is a fundamental right. I want to point out that a symbol.
when you say this, you'll have to back it up.
I will back it up.
We are not denying the importance of symbols. If you want to know, we realize the checkered history of Pakistan and how political parties have been hounded. So I think it started with the elections of the Pakistan People's Party, which let me just
उससे पहले भी जा सकते हैं.
बहुत पहले जा सकते हैं. At least when I was I mean, we can go to Ayub Khan and all that, वहाँ से भी जा सकते हैं. But जब पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज वाज़े तौर पे आ गई, अयूब खान का तो खैर आप वहाँ जाना चाहें वहाँ चले जाते हैं, मगर इन रीसेंट मेमोरीज एंड दोज पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज विच एग्जिस्ट टुडे, लेट्स पुट इट दिस वे, द फर्स्ट ब्रंट वाज रिसीव्ड बाय द पाकिस्तान पीपल्स पार्टी. द सॉर्ड वाज आई थिंक द सिंबल तलवार. फिर वो पहले नॉन पार्टी इलेक्शन ये वो वगैरह हो गया. फिर द सेकंड ब्रंट, then the parliamentarians and various other things, then the second brunt was the Pakistan Muslim League. But be aware of the fact who was in government then. Today, was there a Supreme Court which had taken PCO oaths, judges, any action will not be challenged. So we must bear in mind those were far, far, far more difficult times.
Yes.
There's no comparison. Maybe you can say, yes, it continues today. You may say so. But today, your opponents are not in government.
They're not.
We use the word casually, establishment. Why don't we use the word honestly? Army. There does not apparently appear to be any interference. You may allege there is, but you know the overt kind of stuff, unless you point out, matters are coming, the elections are not being held. It was your own petition we argued, which we pressed it in 12 days. We got the date, you were happy, everybody was happy when. So access to courts is there. It's not that nobody allowed you to file. Making allegations on the media or outside unnecessarily undermines constitutional institution, which does not mean you should not make these allegations if they are true. Now the very same election commission has issued you the notice to hold elections as far back when you were in government. Can you start from there? What was the malafide then? Please read that notice, the first one, because that from a timeline point of view that will be very important, because if we have to gauge whether suddenly the euphemism that is used, establishment, is weighing heavy on the election commission and doing something, we will certainly hear this. But then how did they know then, when the very same establishment, surely it was not your allegation then that they were siding with the Election Commission of Pakistan. So if you're going to make it dramatic and political, then give the whole context or keep it legal. So if you're going to use, I mean, I respect every constitutional body. You said malafide in fact and law. Did we appoint them? You all appoint these people. We don't appoint them. So when you just throw an allegation is not acceptable because you don't serve Pakistan then. We need these institutions. We can make them better. If they're not doing their job, force them to do the job. That's our job. But we cannot take on their responsibilities because you'll be the first to complain. We will not take on the responsibilities of Parliament, as I've repeatedly stated. You will be the first to complain. Who is he? I'm the parliamentarian. I'll make the law I want to. We'll judge the law, whether it's constitutional or not, and that's it.
بالکل
صحیح. ذرا سے آپ یہ میلیفیڈے کا جو آپ اینگل اگر لے رہے ہیں تو اس کو سبسٹینشیٹ کیجیے.
میں جس طرح لوں گا
changes the prism completely.
Right.
If they are malafide, then we look at them at very suspect eyes, or you take away this allegation. I'm not saying take it away, it's your call.
I'll be totally non-political in my arguments, Your Lordship, as always. There's no point in bringing, although it's relevant to a political party, this case, but I will keep it very legal. And on the malafide in fact in law, I will be more relying on procedural malafide than anything else. I will not go into...
Are you withdrawing the allegation of malafide in fact? Because it's very important. You have to answer this.
When I use the word malafide in fact, maybe I was wrong in saying... in terms of
you can withdraw it if you want to. Don't withdraw it if you don't want to.
I'm not even going there into that arena. I am basically going to argue that there's a procedural clear cut on the record.
I'm noting that you are withdrawing you're not saying malafide.
I'm not saying malafide in fact.
Please proceed.
In that
you are always fair. Please proceed.
Now, Your Lordship, so I was starting by saying that symbol is a fundamental right of a political party under Article 17, Sub-Article 2. And I am not saying that Your Lordship said back it up. I will back it up with a judgment which is known as the famous symbols case.
Benazir Bhutto case? Ji. I think both parties are relying on the same judgment.
They are not. They are relying on the other Benazir Bhutto judgment of 88. I am relying on the 89 judgment.
Acha. So, citation please.
It is PLD 89 Supreme Court.
1989 Supreme Court.
66. It
66.
12 judges sat on this case, and it's basically all about symbol.
Relevant page?
I will just read that relevant page. But before that, Your Lordship, let us look at the effect of no symbol.
No, एक second. देखिए, maybe I at least the fundamental question is, if elections are proper, I for one don't think that you should be deprived of the symbol. So can this, when you citing Benazir Bhutto, was it a question of inter-party elections or no?
No, it was a question that a symbol was the symbol was being taken away.
You can't just deprive someone of their symbols. But here it is connected with the party elections.
My point
because certification, suppose there is a particular time within which you have to file a certificate. You don't comply with the time. I don't think it's such a relevant thing that a person should be deprived of their fundamental rights or even normal rights. So when we read this judgment, we'll have to consider the fact that it was not a question where the political party had not held elections. Yes, who can deny the importance of a symbol?
But my reason for reading this judgment will be separate, different. My reason for reading this judgment would be to show to this honorable court that a symbol is not just a right of a political party. Symbol is a right of the illiterate millions of people of Pakistan who rely on the symbol for the purposes of exercising their right of vote. They rely on a political party symbol for the purposes
Ali Zafar, I think maybe it's too fine a point or what. I don't disagree with you at all. But
so I will
no, but पूरी बात सुन लें. मगर मैं कुछ और कह रहा हूँ. जी. एक नाम होता है ना. Political party is a name, but at the end of the day, political party कौन होते हैं? जो लोग उसको कंट्रोल कर रहे हैं. ठीक है. कल कोई जासूस घुस जाए किसी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी में, उसको एक कागज का टुकड़ा पेश कर दें कि जी हम ये पॉलिटिकल पार्टी बन गए. आपकी पार्टी का नहीं कह रहा, कोई और पॉलिटिकल पार्टी. ठीक है. वो उसी के मेंबर आए कि जी इलेक्शन नहीं हुआ, ये कैसे आ गए. तो पॉलिटिकल पार्टी की जब बात आप कर रहे हैं तो पॉलिटिकल पार्टी तो इनएनिमेट ऑब्जेक्ट है. एक नजरिया को रिफ्लेक्ट करती है, एक कुछ लोगों की समझ को रिफ्लेक्ट करती है. हम ये देखना चाहते हैं कि वो तरीकेकार हुआ या नहीं हुआ, और वो एक ही तरीके से हो सकता है इलेक्शन. अगर इलेक्शन या तो आप कहें कि जी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी इलेक्शन करे या ना करे, ये हमारी मर्जी, एक वो अलग मौक़िफ़ है, और ये इसको गायबी करने इलेक्शन को. मगर ये नहीं कह सकते हैं आप कि जी हम कागज़ का टुकड़ा पेश करें और इलेक्शन हो गए। आप हमें कम से कम मोटी मोटी उसकी जो इलेक्शन में जो बातें होती वो तो हमें दिखा दें कि जी हमने मौका दिया सबको, हमारे पास लोग आए, इतने लोगों ने नॉमिनेशन पेपर फाइल किया, इतने वोट इनको पड़े और इतने वोट इन पर, हम ये बैठ करके गिनेंगे नहीं वोट्स, मगर कुछ तो आप हमें पेश कर दें ना। अभी हमारे सामने जो मसला आ रहा है, कम से कम इनका जो एलिगेशन है कि जी ये कागज़ का टुकड़ा है, ना आपने बताया कि किस जगह इलेक्शन हो रहे हैं। आपने पिशावर का तो जिक्र किया मगर फिर आपने कोई और जगह जाके कर लिए, चमकनी में, मुझे नहीं पता है, मगर वो पिशावर नहीं है, कोई और जगह है। तो ये जरा बातें जब हम केस लॉ पे एकदम चले जाएंगे ना, तो जरा सा अगर इस पे आप फोकस करें, क्योंकि मेरे ख्याल में इलेक्शन हो गए फिर आपको जहमत करने की जरूरत नहीं होगी सिंबल पे जाने के लिए। फिर वो आपका मेरे ख्याल में सब्जेक्ट टू व्हाट दे से एक वो नेचुरल इम्प्लीकेशन या राइट हो जाएगा।
बिल्कुल ठीक है सर, मैं अभी आपको उस पे आऊंगा। मैं सिंपली जो मैं आपसे गुजारिश कर रहा हूँ, आई अंडरस्टैंड योर लॉर्डशिप्स कंसर्न अबाउट द इलेक्शन, I will satisfy that.
ECP की order में भी they have certain violations ना, तो
not only violation of the appointment.
There are certain violations.
Not
if you want to see page 613 of the paper book, it is in fact page 10 of the order of the ECP. You can read certain paragraphs in which certain violations have been mentioned.
Let us read that order, because I want to be very clear. The ECP is not saying that. I have read it.
नहीं उसका नहीं है, वो टोटल कह रहे हैं ना वो।
नहीं, इस तरह नहीं हो सकता सर। They are actually they have taken a very serious point on this. And
ये पढ़िए, पहले आप ये पढ़ लीजिए पैराग्राफ 22
पेज बताइए प्लीज।
पेज 612 के ऊपर पेपर बुक नंबर 1 नहीं सॉरी पेपर बुक नंबर 3
पेपर बुक ये पेपर। Your Lordship want me to read at which para?
22 से आप आगे चलेंगे तो
according to the available record, the General Secretary of PTI is Mr. Asad Umar, and nothing in document is available that PTI or any other competent wing of PTI has ever elected Mr. Umar Ayub as Secretary General of PTI. We also failed to find here in PTI Constitution any provision that Chairman of PTI may extend tenure of any office bearers, while the tenure of Chairman itself has expired on 13/6/23. So after target date 13/6/23, Chairman possesses no authority to exercise such power either to control or to extend the tenure of any office bearers. Such eventuality is well defined in the procedures provided under Clause 4 of Article 5 of PTI Constitution, which reads as under. In case of the Chairman's position falling vacant due to any reason, the SG shall take additional charge of the office. In the interim, and elections for the Chairman's office shall be held within 30 days of position falling vacant. So far 22 is just about appointments. Clause 1 of Article 5 General Provisions of PTI Constitution widely speaks about collective decision making, which reads as under. All decisions shall be taken by the corresponding governing body, executive committee, and other such bodies by a majority of vote. Minimum quorum required for validity shall be 75% for smaller bodies, committees, and 50% for the larger committees, councils of the total membership. Agenda items shall be distributed by the Secretary along with invitation notice wherever possible. Clause 1.3 of Article 5 General Provisions of PTI Constitution describes that governing body can take provisional decisions in policy matters where there is enough room to believe that an executive committee meeting could not be convened in time. Again, nothing to do with the election. Thereafter, as mentioned here and above, it was mandatory for the PTI in terms of Clause 1.4 of Article 5 that on expiry of 18 months thereafter the adoption of the PTI Constitution 2015, which has been adopted on 1/5/2019, to appoint the chief organizer who had to use all the powers and functions of the chairman, well mentioned there in Clause 4.2 of Article 5 of the PTI Constitution, already reproduced here and above.
Para 26.
Going through the above mentioned Clause 4 of Article 5 of the PTI Constitution, the PTI General Council, as per record supplied here to the Commission, adopted and approved the Constitution 2019 on 1/5/2019, and thereafter 18 months constitutionally the PTI is deemed to be run by chief organizer till the announcement of intra-party election of the federal EC. by the federal EC. However, it would be the chief organizer to nominate various members and constitute various committees in interim period. Thereafter, 18 months of adoption of PTI Constitution 2019 and first intra-party election scheduled on 13/6/21. As the chairman of PTI never opted to hold intra-party election till 10/6/22, just 3 days before the target date of the intra-party election provided thereunder, Section 208 of the Election Act 2017, however, as the said election was not found to be held in accordance with PTI Constitution 2019, declared void by this commission. As discussed here and above, in accordance with Clause 4 of Article 5 of PTI Constitution 2019, all powers to organize PTI vests and deemed to vest in the chief organizer, which according to their available record has never been appointed so far. While according to Constitution of PTI 2019, no other office bearer has the authority and power to appoint or nominate any other office bearer, particularly Federal Election Commission. So far, it is all about appointments. The available records submitted by PTI herein before the Commission never provided any document that any competent authority had ever appointed Federal Election Commission in accordance with the provisions of Article 9 of PTI Constitution 2019. Only appointment of a single Federal Election Commissioner is not requirement of Article 9 of the PTI Constitution, and such a solitary office bearer could not exercise any power to hold PTI intra-party election till the Commission as a whole, not appointed by a competent authority provided thereunder Article 9 of the PTI Constitution. However, Federal Election Commissioner may frame and make bylaws only for the purpose to conduct his day-to-day affairs and working, subject to notify the same on website. But no authority has been provided there under PTI Constitution that apart from Constitution, bylaws or rules will also be made. Even if it is admitted that PTI made some rules for internal affairs, it could not supersede the basic document that is Constitution of PTI, where specific procedures provide for appointment of election commissioner, and particularly office bearer, then any rule made in contravention of such provision of Constitution has no any legal sanctity and could not be given effect thereto. So, keeping in view the clear mandate of Election Act 2017 read with PTI Constitution 2019, and for reasons mentioned here and above, it is held that PTI has not complied with our directions rendered therein, order dated 23rd November, and failed to hold intra-party election according to PTI prevailing Constitution 2019 and Election Act 2017 and Election Rules 2017. Therefore, the certificate dated 4 December 23 and Form 65 filed by the alleged chairman is hereby regretted and rejected accordingly. The provisions of Section 215 of the Election Act 2017 are hereby invoked, and PTI is hereby declared ineligible to obtain the election symbol for which they have applied for. So they have not gone into
deficiencies उन्होंने बताई हैं, ये they have taken from your own constitution. ये election act में नहीं कहा कि ये हम आपसे कह रहे हैं. They have just pointed out deficiencies in election and appointment of Federal Election Commission from your own constitution.
Correct. मैं ये कह रहा हूँ exactly वही कह, आपने फरमाया था कि they have pointed out other irregularities. मैं आपको कह रहा हूँ कि जो इलेक्शन कमीशन ने पॉइंट आउट किया है सिर्फ और सिर्फ अपॉइंटमेंट्स के बेसिस पे किया है, नॉट ऑन द क्वेश्चन के आपने कहाँ वेन्यू कहाँ था, नॉट ऑन द क्वेश्चन कि आपकी शेड्यूल.
अली जफर साहब जी,
दैट इज व्हाट आई एम सेइंग.
नहीं, मैं आपकी बात समझ गया हूँ, मगर आप हमारी बात समझे ना.
जी, आपकी बात मैं समझ रहा हूँ.
नहीं, मैं कह रहा हूँ, देखिए मैं एक नतीजे पे पहुंचने के लिए मैं एक तरीके से जजमेंट लिख दूं जी, मेरे साथी वही नतीजे पे पहुंचने के लिए दूसरे तरीके से जजमेंट भी लिख सकते हैं. मुझे सिर्फ ये देखना है कि जो नतीजे पे हम पहुंचे हैं वो सही था या नहीं. अब वो हाइपर टेक्निकल चले जाएं या वो आइन की बात करें या वो बेनजीर भुट्टो के केस की बात करें, वो सारे राह हैं. नतीजा क्या था? नतीजा सिंपल सा था कि इलेक्शन कैसे हुए. ठीक है, आपने तो अब सिंपल सी बात थी, अकबर एस अहमद साहब अगर इतने ही इनकी सपोर्ट नहीं है, हार जाते इलेक्शन, और क्या होता. ठीक है, तो ये बुनियादी बात हमें देखना है कि इलेक्शन हुए यानी आपकी पार्टी में. आप ये नहीं कह सकते हैं कि, और ये इसकी अहमियत, अब ये हम बात करना चाहेंगे, इसकी अहमियत इसलिए भी बढ़ जाती है क्योंकि जो आपके फाउंडिंग मेंबर हैं वो फिलहाल जेल में फेसिंग ट्रायल. तो कल तो क्या ये लोग कौन है हमारे सामने खड़े हैं? या तो आप हमें दिखाएं कि आप लोग फाउंडिंग मेंबर्स थे. ठीक है, वो एक फाउंडिंग मेंबर कह रहा है कि जी मुझे इलेक्शन तक नहीं लड़ने दे रहे हैं. शायद बहुत बुरा हो, आपको नहीं पसंद हो, मगर वो इलेक्शन को ही उसको राइट तो दे देना. एक तरफ आप कह रहे हैं मुझे पार्टी को इलेक्शन लड़ने दें, वो आपके अंदर घर वाला कह रहा है तो मुझे तो करने दो ना, मैं क्यों ना पार्टी का हेड बन जाऊं. Maybe he wants to be chairman, maybe he wants to be whatever secretary general. हार जाए जीत जाए, अगर आपके 8.5 लाख मेंबर हैं ان کو پہ بھروسہ کیوں نہیں کر رہے ہیں یہ بتا دیں. اور اگر آپ نے کر دیا ہے بھروسہ وہ ہمیں کچھ تو دکھا دیں نا ہمیں کہ واقعی کچھ ہوا تھا. کاغذ کا ٹکڑا, کل سپوز اکبر ایس احمد ایک کاغذ کا ٹکڑا لے آتے ہیں, اس پہ آپ کی پارٹی کا نام ٹائپ کر دیتے ہیں اور اپنے آپ کو اپوائنٹ کر دیتے ہیں اور الیکشن اپنا نام لکھ دیتے ہیں انپوز, تو ہمارے پاس 2 کاغذ کے ٹکڑے ہوں گے, کس کو ہم مانیں گے؟ تو پھر آپ ہمیں بتائیں گے نہیں انہوں نے تو گھر میں بیٹھ کے کر دیا, میں نے تو جا کے الیکشن نامینیشن پیپر تھا, اتنے لوگوں نے نامینیشن پیپر دیا, اتنے ووٹر آئے تھے. تو یہ ہمارا مسئلہ ہے.
آپ کا پوائنٹ بالکل سمجھ چکا ہوں سر, میں آپ نے پہلے بھی ریپیٹ کیا. میں
اب وہ اس طرح سے چلا گیا الیکشن کمیشن یا اس طرف,
میں بالکل, میرا خالی پوائنٹ یہ تھا کہ ابھی میں یہ کہنا چاہ رہا تھا کہ
کیونکہ ہم تو بڑے آپ کے کانسٹیٹیوشن سے متاثر ہوئے کہ آپ الیکشن, آپ پولیٹیکل پارٹیز کو آپ ڈیموکریٹک بنا رہے ہیں.
آپ کی بالکل بجا بات ہے, لیکن الیکشن کمیشن اس طرف نہیں گیا. دیٹ از آل دی پوائنٹ آئی ایم ٹرائنگ ٹو میک. سو کمنگ ٹو دی سمبل سے
ظفر صاحب, جسٹ وانٹ ٹو ایڈ سم تھنگ. یہ جو ججمنٹ از امپیون بیفور اس,
has also not gone into that.
ٹھیک ہے, اس میں پیرا 19 میں آپ دیکھیے ان کی جو فائنڈنگز ہیں, جو ان کا ریشیو آف دی ججمنٹ ہے, they have held that the election commission has no jurisdiction
Exactly, sir.
the intra party election.
So پہلے ہم نے وہ تھریشولڈ کرنا ہے کراس.
دوسری ہو گئی نا, وہ تو کہہ رہے ہیں کہ آپ اگر یہ آپ آرگیو کر رہے ہیں کہ الیکشن کمیشن کو انٹرا پارٹی الیکشن دیکھنے کا اختیار ہی نہیں ہے, تو
یہ کہہ رہا ہوں میں نے آپ کو نوٹ کرایا.
You are supporting the judgment of the Peshawar High Court.
I am.
So then you have to show from different provisions of law that
is what I'm saying. اس لیے پہلے میں وہ کر رہا ہوں, then I'll come to this point also.
فرض کیجئے دیکھ ہی نہیں سکتے, تو then there is no question of any election commission.
Exactly. That is your lordship what I am exactly, that is my point.
لوگوں کا یہ ہوتا ہے نا کہ وہ سیدھے ججمنٹس پہ آ جاتے ہیں. پہلے آپ ذرا سے فیکچوئل چیزیں اگر آپ ہمیں بتا دیں نا, تو پھر ججمنٹ کو اس نظر سے دیکھیں گے. اب آپ ایک ججمنٹ, آپ بالکل بے نظیر کا ججمنٹ ہے, ہمیں پتا ہے وہ ججمنٹ ہے, اس سے ہم ڈس ایگری بھی نہیں کر رہے ہیں, تو وہ کوئی بات کو آگے بڑھائے گا نہیں.
جو
اگر آپ کوئی خاص مخصوص پیراگراف پڑھنا چاہتے ہیں خوشی سے پڑھیے, روک نہیں رہے ہم آپ.
جو جج صاحب نے کہا دیٹ از ویئر آئی ایم گوئنگ فرسٹ, ٹھیک ہے, یہ الیکشن میں دیکھنا
ایک طرف وہ یہ کہہ رہے ہیں, دوسری طرف کیا کر رہے ہیں وہ بھی پڑھ دیتا ہوں میں آپ کو. کیا کریں, فائنڈنگ ان کی جو ہے نا تھوڑی سی میوچلی ڈسٹرکٹیو لگ رہی ہے مجھے. جہاں انہوں نے یہ ریفرنس دیا کچھ کیس لا کا, وہ کہہ رہے ہیں کہ نہیں وہ کر سکتا ہے, اور دوسری طرف کہہ رہے ہیں نہیں کر سکتا, تو یہ کچھ سمجھ نہیں آیا مجھے. کنٹینیو میں آپ کو بتاتا ہوں, اس کے اندر ایک جگہ ہے
نہیں. اگر میں ایک مفروضے کے طور پہ پوچھ رہا ہوں, آپ کی کیس سے نہیں پوچھ رہا ہوں, کوئی اور پولیٹیکل پارٹی ہے, وہ ایک کاغذ کا ٹکڑا پیش کر دے, دوسرا 200 کاغذ کا ٹکڑا پیش کر دے, ٹھیک ہے, تو یہ کون فیصلہ کرے گا؟
سول کورٹ.
کیوں؟
کیونکہ ممبرز کا آپس میں ڈسپیوٹ ہوگا.
سول کورٹ کہے گا کہ میرے پاس جوریسڈکشن نہیں, تو الیکشن کمیشن کا کام ہے.
الیکشن میں تو جوریسڈکشن نہیں ہے نا سر.
یہ آپ کدھر سے بات کریں؟
میں آپ کو لا پڑھا کے دکھاتا ہوں. There is no jurisdiction they have.
تھوڑا سا